So Kamala Harris did a sit-down Q&A, and of course because she's incapable of answering questions without immense preparation or questions to be handed to her in advance, she needed her hand to be held by Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, Oprah Winfrey. But this was a terrible look for her. She got asked the most simple question of all time: how are you going to strengthen border security? And she danced around the question for 3 minutes before Oprah had to step in.
When you become president, what would be your specific steps? Yeah, of course. What would be specific steps to strengthening the border?
So it's a wonderful and important question. You know, my background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected attorney general for 2 terms of a border state. So this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on.
Okay, so now we're getting back to Kamala Harris debate preparation mode, where she answers the same question the way that she has in the past, by first mentioning that she was a prosecutor and then an attorney general, even though that really has nothing to do with the question, how are you going to strengthen border security?
I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I take very seriously the importance of having a secure border and ensuring the safety of the American people.
Transnational criminal organizations? She said that like 100 times now. Like, is this supposed to sound badass or something? Because it really is not. But day one of the Biden-Harris administration, Biden signed an executive order to defund the wall and to terminate the border emergency. They also froze deportations that day and eliminated the Remain in Mexico policy. Those are the facts.
Sadly, where we are now can be traced most recently back to the fact that when the United States Congress, members of the Congress, including some of the most conservative Republicans, came up with a border security bill. And here's what that border security bill would have done. It would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. And let me tell you, those border agents are working around the clock. It would have just been about giving them some support and relief, which is probably why the border agents actually endorsed the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl. And I'm looking at people from all over the country here, so I don't need to tell the folks who are watching this what fentanyl has done to families, to kids in our country, and the need to take seriously stemming the flow coming into our country and addressing that extraordinary and tragic issue in terms of its effect.
That border bill argument is such a scam because, of course, Kamala failed to mention what that border bill also provided. It allowed 5,000 illegal border crossings per day, kept catch and release in place, didn't stop parole abuse, and required that any alien who claimed asylum be released into our country and granted work authorization almost immediately. So obviously that bill was going to be killed.
The bill would have allowed us to have more resources to prosecute transnational criminal organizations. And it would have been part of the solution. And Donald Trump called up those folks and said, don't put that bill on the floor for a vote. He blocked the bill, and you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And he has put his personal political security before border security. Because understand, even in the intervening months, what that bill would have done to give support to folks who care about this issue. And this again gets to the point about what does leadership really look like? And is it about you or is it about the people? Right. Is it about running on problems or fixing problems? My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the needs, because we know it's within our capacity to do that.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely, and when I am elected President of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
So Kamala's playbook is saying we need good border security and saying transnational every 2 seconds. So it makes it seem like she knows what she's talking about. But that's the first time I heard her say she'd sign that bill, because Oprah had to step in and answer the question for her. And I don't even think she knew that she would sign it. She was just like, oh, that sounds pretty good to me. She is a total mess.